The sun was high and unforgiving as Emily walked toward the courthouse, her steps steady despite the oppressive heat. Her mind was calm, her heart carrying the quiet resilience that had seen her through countless storms. At 53, Emily had learned to navigate life's injustices, but she knew today might be different. She could feel it in the air, heavy and charged, as if the universe itself was bracing for what was to come. She had just finished delivering food to a sick friend when she spotted an elderly man in a parking lot, searching frantically under cars. His face was creased with worry, his hands trembling as he muttered, "I can't find it." "What have you lost?" Emily asked gently, her voice cutting through his panic like a soothing balm. "My wallet," he replied, shaking his head. "It was just here." Without hesitation, Emily knelt on the scorching asphalt, scanning the ground until she spotted a worn leather wallet hidden beneath a newspaper. She handed it to the man, whose eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you," he said, his voice breaking. "You're an angel." Emily smiled. "Anyone would have done the same," she said, though deep down she knew that wasn't true. Acts of kindness had always been her way, even in a world that often met compassion with cruelty. As she neared the courthouse, its towering columns loomed over her like silent judges. The building was meant to symbolize justice, but to Emily, it felt like a battleground where truth often struggled to survive. At the steps, a commotion caught her attention. A young black boy stood frozen, clutching his backpack as a police officer loomed over him. The boy couldn't have been more than 10, his wide eyes filled with fear. "Loitering!" the officer barked. "This isn't a place for you." Emily's heart clenched. She recognized the fear in the boy's hunched shoulders, the way he braced himself for whatever would come next. Stepping forward, she spoke firmly but calmly. "Is there a problem here?" The officer turned to her, his face hardening. "Stay out of this, lady. It doesn't concern you." Emily met his glare, unwavering. "He's done nothing wrong. This is public property." The officer's sneer deepened. "People like you," he spat, his voice dripping with disdain. "Always sticking your nose where it doesn't belong." The words stung, but Emily stood her ground. "He's just a child," she said. "Let him go." The officer hesitated, his grip on the boy's backpack loosening just enough for the boy to dart away into the crowd. Furious, the officer turned back to Emily. "You want to get involved? Fine." His hand clamped around her arm like a vice. "You can explain yourself inside." The crowd murmured in shock as he dragged her into the courthouse, her calm demeanor never faltering. The cool air inside did nothing to ease the tension. All eyes were on Emily as the officer rattled off baseless accusations. Obstruction, disturbing the peace, even assault. His voice was laced with smugness, his confidence unshakable. But Emily remained silent, her expression serene. She wasn't afraid. She had faced worse than this. When the judge entered, the room fell silent. Judge Riley, a man known for his stern demeanor, listened as the officer spun an exaggerated tale. But something in Riley's eyes suggested he wasn't buying it. The courtroom doors opened, and a clerk hurried in, handing the judge a file. Riley's brow furrowed as he read, his expression growing darker. "Miss Carter," the judge said, his voice firm yet respectful. "You may speak." Emily stood, her voice steady. "Your Honor, I intervened only to protect a child from harassment. My entire life has been dedicated to upholding the law, not breaking it." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small leather case. Opening it, she revealed a golden badge. Gasps rippled through the room. "I am the federal prosecutor for this district," Emily declared. "And it is my duty to address abuses of power, like the actions of this officer today." The officer's face turned pale, his confidence draining as the truth settled over the room. The judge's gaze hardened. "Officer Daniels," he said, his tone icy, Your actions are deeply troubling. This court will not tolerate abuse of power. An investigation will be launched immediately. Miss Carter, all charges against you are dismissed, and this court apologizes for your mistreatment." The room erupted in quiet applause. Daniels was escorted out, his arrogance replaced with shame. Emily walked out of the courthouse into the blazing sun. The air felt lighter, as if justice itself had exhaled. A young voice called out, "Thank you." Emily turned to see the boy she had defended, standing at a distance with tears in his eyes. She nodded at him, a silent promise that kindness and courage would always prevail. As she walked away, the heat no longer felt so oppressive. Emily's resolve burned brighter than ever. This was just one battle, but she was ready for the war ahead.